Alright, so this one's a personal one, I'll admit. Not a lot of people will probably be as scared as I was when I was a kid meeting this character, but I'll still talk about it. So you might disagree with me on this, but I consider Metroid Fusion to be a light survival horror game. I know, kind of weird, but really think about it. You're alone, isolated from the outside world. You never once meet anyone in the game, not a single soul. Literally, there's no NPCs in this game whatsoever. There are these horrifying creatures that lurk around every corner, bosses that stalk you, terrifying monster designs, and a limited resource of skills and ammos, plus parasites that copy and control things that have died on this space station, essentially making it so that you're literally fighting zombies, and all the while you have your very own nemesis. Literally, this is just pretty much a Resident Evil clone. Let's be real here. Now granted, there's a lot of things about Metroid Fusion that really aren't survival horror-esque, but that's why I consider it a light survival horror, diet survival horror. It's unsettling, but the things that make the game terrifying the most is SAX, or Sax as I used to call her. Samus is no stranger to doppelgangers, but SAX is on another level entirely compared to Dark Samus. She's an X-parasite that replicated Samus's skill set, weapons, armor, and upgrades when she was first infected by this parasite. The implication is that this was the virus that almost killed Samus Aran, and now it's back to finish the job. Goddamn, I love it, but also I hated SAX. She was incredibly overpowered, and mainly because she had all the moves you wanted to get in the first place, or at least attempted to get. While SAX doesn't actually hunt you down, the encounters are sparse enough to make you fear every meeting with her. It was already implied that she was much stronger than you simply because she was the reason you became significantly weaker story-wise, and that creepy image of SAX looking down into the camera, that was nightmare fuel, and it still is to this day. Not only that, but the music that plays when she's around and the heavy footsteps that you hear when she's approaching you in the hallway. That is just anxiety fuel, man. It is really, really well done. The sound design, everything about Metroid Fusion is very well done, but especially the encounters with SAX. And to be honest, there are other very scary creatures in there. And I know you guys are going to mention Nightmare, who is also pretty scary. And because this episode is going to be short anyways, I might as well mention Nightmare. Nightmare is essentially this bioengineered creature that had failed. Just like every other bioengineered weapon, this one was out to kill everything that it saw. Nightmare has this incredible introduction into his character, or rather the boss fight itself, wherein you first went to the Arctic region. In Metroid Fusion, you would see shadows constantly passing by, and very briefly you would hear this very low humming sound. You couldn't quite catch what it was, but you could always see it, you could feel it, you could hear it. The shaking effect made it feel like this was an enormous creature, and you would soon realize that he was really big. And while you were dreading the fact that there was something lurking in the shadows, something literally making the ground shake, there is a sudden pause, a sudden relief. This one room where nothing is happening, and then
emergency in Sector 3.
all of a sudden it's just an emergency, something's happening in Sector 3 and it's just chaos, and you're like, holy crap, your mind is totally off of it, and you might even completely forget that you just encountered some weird creature in Sector 5. But then of course you have to go back to Sector 5 because you were told that there is massive damage being dealt. And that is when you realize that it is being caused by Nightmare, who has completely altered the entirety of Sector 5, making it a brand new level essentially. You're then given the objective to go out there and eliminate him. That's when you get the very first glimpse of him. You see this giant, ominous looking figure that is eerily floating in the air, and the more you damage Nightmare, the more pus and this disgusting looking ooze comes out of his eyes. Shoot at him more and then you'll reveal this horrifying looking, disgusting, malformed face. It's just something out of a, well, nightmare. And he is just so, God, he's so cool, but really gross, and goddamn, I hated fighting him as a kid. That was a scary motherfucker. But let's not downplay SAX. She was really creepy as well. And really all of this entire game, like, there are so many parts of it that really freaked me out as a kid. But those are the only two that really stand out. And I guess I'll just leave you with this one thing that I thought of when I was a kid. If that's how creepy SAX looked behind the helmet, then what does she look like without the entirety of her armor? Is there anything there? Is it just flesh? What exactly lies beneath that power suit? I've always wondered that. And honestly, I don't really want to find out.